there are so many things that pertain to life. And one of those things, we don't realize it, but it's theology. And as you know, I have said many times, if you don't understand something, then just love Jesus a little more. And so I have asked my daughter Hannah, who you saw earlier today, she's getting married, and that's good, I guess. And, she's my youngest, and she's my baby, and she's getting married. She's going to punish me in that kind of way. So I decided I would punish her by having her read probably one of the best theology books known to man. So hang with it, though. Don't give up on it. So come on, Hannah.
As you guys can see here, it's green eggs and ham. So I don't get to show you guys all the pictures, so I get to look at them, but you guys don't. So I'm going to start here because the rest is illustration. So that's Sam I am. That's Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. Do you like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. Would you like them here or there? I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you like them in a house? Would you like them with a mouse? I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you eat them in a box? Would you eat them with a fox? Not in a box, not with a fox. Not in a house, not with a mouse. I would not eat them here or there. I would not eat them anywhere. I would not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you, could you, in a car? Eat them, here they are. I would not, could not, in a car. You may like them, you will see. You may like them in a tree. I would not, could not, in a tree. Not in a car, you let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. A train, a train, a train, a train. Could you, would you on a train? Not on a train, not in a tree, not in a car. Sam, let me be. I would not, could not, in a box. I could not, would not with a fox. I will not eat them with a mouse. I will not eat them in a house. I will not eat them here or there. I will not eat them anywhere. I do not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Say, in the dark, here in the dark. Would you, could you in the dark? I would not, could not, in the dark. Would you, could you in the rain? I would not, could not, in the rain. Not in the dark, not on a train, not in a car, not in a tree. I do not like them, Sam, you see. Not in a house, not in a box, not with a mouse, not with a fox. I will not eat them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. You do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Could you, would you with a goat? I would not, could not, with a goat. Would you, could you on a boat? I could not, would not on a boat. I will not, will not with a goat. I will not eat them in the rain. I will not eat them on a train, not in the dark, not in a tree, not in a car. You let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I will not eat them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. You do not like them. So you say, try them, and you may. Try them and you may, I say. Sam, if you will let me be, I will try them. You will see. Say, I like green eggs and ham. I do like them, Sam I am. And I would eat them in a boat, and I would eat them with a goat. And I will eat them in the rain and in the dark, and on a train, and in a car, and in a tree. They are so good, you see. So I will eat them in a box, and I will eat them with a fox. And I will eat them in a house, and I will eat them with a mouse. And I will eat them here and there. Say, I will eat them anywhere. I do so like green eggs and ham. Thank you, Sam I am.
everybody's intellectual just went up about 5 points. So, Dr. Seuss' Green Eggs and Ham is a long, repetitious poem that ends for about the 20th time. Sam I am asked, "Do you like green eggs and ham?" As a parent, I've read that story probably many times, and it's a rather boring story, actually, because it's the same thing over and over and over again, as you have experienced this morning. But as I read that, I remember that my kids would love it. The appeals would be great to my children, and no matter which way he tried to get the man to like green eggs and ham. He wouldn't do it. Well, there's a story told of a young pastor by the name of Timothy. And in Timothy, Paul is writing to his protege. And what he is saying is, a preacher in Ephesus, Paul is in prison and will soon be executed for his preaching. He's willing to die this way because, as he reminds Timothy, their message is critical to the world. And he's saying, the world and Christianity hangs on you. Do anything you can to win people to Jesus Christ. And as he talks this way. In 2 Timothy it says this: when Christ comes as king, he will be the judge of everyone, whether they are living or dead. So with God and Christ as witness, I command you to preach God's message. Do it as witnesses. I command you to preach God's message. Do it willingly, even if it is not the popular thing to do. You must correct people and point out their sins, but also cheer them up. And when you instruct them, always be patient. The time is coming when people won't listen to good teaching. Instead, they will look for teachers who will please them by telling them only what they are itching to hear. They will turn from the truth and eagerly listen to senseless stories. You must stay calm and be willing to suffer. You must work hard and tell the good news and to do your job well. Now the time has come for me to die. My life is like a drink offering being poured out on the altar. I have fought well. I have finished the race. I have been faithful. So a crown will be given to me for pleasing the Lord. He judges fairly, and on the day of judgment he will give a crown to me and to everyone else who wants him to appear with power. In other words, what he was saying, hi Billy. What he was saying was, Timothy's job was essential because the fate of hundreds of people were hanging in the balance because of him. People would either go to heaven or they would go to hell, depending on how faithful Timothy did his job. And he is saying, be faithful in all situations. There's an illustration that says this. An atheist once told William Booth, founder of the Salvation Army, he said this: if I believe what you Christians say you believe about a coming judgment, and the impending rejectors of Christ will be lost, I would crawl on my bare knees on crushed glass all over London, warning men night and day to flee for refuge from the coming day of wrath. Whether we want to admit it or not, and whether we want to live up to it or not, the bottom line of the gospel is that we replicate ourselves and replicate Jesus Christ in the life of others.
Yes. Amen.
Whether we want to admit it or not, or whether we want to do it or not, or whether we feel uncomfortable or not with it, our job as individuals is to win people to Jesus Christ. And not only to Jesus Christ, but for all eternity. That they won't spend eternity in hell, but they'll spend eternity in heaven. It's an amazing thing, to know that hangs in the balance. That our lives hang in the balance to that point. Now Timothy's in our job is to realize how critical the message is that we have, that we hold in our hands. We come every Sunday and we know that we'll hear the gospel, or the gospel will be shared in some kind of way, whether through singing, or whether a testimony, or whether the reading of the word, the gospel will be shared. And yet, our job is not to leave it here. Not to leave it at 1438 Cox Avenue. Our job is to go out and to preach the gospel to all the world.
Amen.
In whatever way you can. May I say that, well, we could learn a few things from the Sam I Am book. The Green Eggs and Ham is a children's book. Sam I Am uses many of the same principles we can use to convince people. So we're going to get our gospel here from Sam I Am. A little bit. First of all, what is the message? First of all, realize that you're going to encounter rejection. Sam I Am encountered rejection, right? He kept saying, 20 times he says, would you like some green eggs and ham? He says, absolutely not. I don't like green eggs and ham. You care. And why wouldn't Sam I Am's friend taste the green eggs and ham? Because they're green, right? He's never really tasted green eggs and ham. He doesn't really know if he likes green eggs and ham. He's never tasted them, so how could he know if he likes them or not? He realizes that he's in an uphill battle. Sam I Am does. And he comes to the point where he finally keeps going and keeps going. But realize that you're going to be rejected. One preacher said, I talked this week to another preacher whose younger brother had come to live with his family for a few weeks. The preacher had come to live downstairs and told the kids he was going to make omelets for them in the morning. Then he offered his younger brother an omelet. No, his brother replied. So the preacher shrugged his shoulders and went into the kitchen to cook omelets for the kids. After a few moments, his brother came into the kitchen and sheepishly asked, what is an omelet? You see, he had never tasted an omelet before. But it had a strange name and it couldn't possibly taste good. That's why many people, I believe, reject Jesus Christ. They've never really tasted and seen what Jesus Christ is really like.
Amen.
They don't understand or know or have the knowledge of who He is. They've never had a transcendent experience with Him. They've never experienced Him for themselves. Oh, Mom and Dad might have had it. Grandma and Grandpa might have had it. An aunt or an uncle or someone within the family or somebody that they might know. But they had never experienced what Jesus was really like. May I urge us as a congregation to not only know who Jesus is, but to know who Jesus is.
Amen.
To really know Him. To really know who He is. To understand who He is. That you would make Him your friend, your best friend of anybody that you can ever imagine, that He is always with you and He will always guide you. And the reason why I believe that people don't try Him is because they've never tried Him.
Amen.
They've never had a working knowledge of who Jesus Christ is. So repeatedly they'll turn you down. And we talk to them about Jesus and the church, and yet they turn us down and we walk away and we say, why would they turn us down? Because they've never really tasted and seen how good the Lord was.
That's it.
Went last night, again, second time we've been there, went last night. I went to the Omnimax for the National Parks Museum thing. And it feels almost, honestly, in fact, I got kind of nauseated to my stomach because it's so big and so vast and it's just so cool. I went there and saw the National Parks exhibit and watched that Omnimax, and it was awesome. It was just awesome. It was just so unbelievable as you watch that. And so I thought to myself while that was going on, how in the world could anybody see the beauty that God has made and not believe that there is a God that has made this?
Amen.
How in the world could anybody have such an ignorant view to say it just happened? Or gases came together and all of a sudden, boom, and it formed. That is an uneducated view
Amen.
of what God has done in this earth.
That's right.
And so the scripture writer tells us to taste and see that God, He is good. Paul tells Timothy a time is going to come when people will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to miss. People are going to turn you and I down a lot when we try to talk to them, but get used to it. It's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they tell me that the Jehovah's Witnesses, that they don't mind at all when you turn them down. You think you're doing something when you turn them down and tell them to get out of your house. Or you might do like my mom did. She'd say, I'll tell you what, you come on in and pray with me, and we'll do it. And so in the middle of prayer, they just kind of walked out of the house. But you'll be rejected. Not even by people who are enemies of yours, but people that are also friends of yours.
Amen.
You may be rejected. The second thing I want us to point out is, and this is my favorite, keep it simple.
Yep.
Keep it simple, would you? It is not hard theology, you see. One day, I fell in love with my wife at 15 years old. I was 15, she was 16. No, I was 15, she was 14. I don't know when we fell in love, but anyway. Anyway, it happened. I can't explain it. I can't tell you that, well, I added A plus B plus C, and all of a sudden, poof, there it was. I loved her. Keep it simple with your relationship with Jesus Christ. Know that there was a time and a day when you made a decision to love Jesus with your whole heart, with your whole mind, and your whole soul, and everything that you had. And you made a decision to love Jesus Christ with everything you had. Keep it simple. You know that in this book that we read, now I know that we're not supposed to preach expositionally on green eggs and ham. I understand that. But do you realize that in this book, listen to this, Green Eggs and Ham was a book written by Theodore Geisel. Geisel is also known as Dr. Seuss. Who knew that? Anybody know? Oh, come on. Are you serious? You knew? Oh, man. I thought I was given new revelation here. So this guy, Theodore Geisel, now, you think that he wrote such unbelievable books, that because he wrote such unbelievable books, that he was a really good guy. I want to tell you a little bit about him. Theodore Geisel was a crumb. He was a crud, really. He decided that after 30 years of marriage, that since his wife had cancer and was bedridden, he decided that he would go out and snag himself a mistress. So that's what he did. And she was so distraught and begged him not to go off with a mistress that what would happen is finally she committed suicide. Now, wasn't that great? He sat down and wrote us theology books of green eggs and ham and one fish, blue fish, two fish, three fish, whatever it is. And that's what he did. But I want to tell you about this book. Green Eggs and Ham, they say, has 50 words in it. 50 words, and 49 of those words, 49, are actually one-syllable words. I can read that. You can read that. In other words, what he said was, or what he did that on a bet with his best friend, and when he completed that task, what happened was that his best friend welched on the bet, and he didn't get the money that he was promised. But anyway, he took all of that, and he made it as simple as he possibly can. It's a simple story. It has only one message. That one message is that one single message resounds throughout the whole thing. And that is, taste my green eggs and ham.
Yep.
That's it. I want to tell you, from cover to cover in the Bible, there is one simple message within the Bible itself. You can get all caught up with the Amorites, chasing the Hittites up one hill and down the other. You can do everything you want to do. But I want to tell you there is one simple message that is spoken of within the Old Testament that points to the New Testament that says, taste and see that the Lord is good. Amen. Taste it. Experience it. Listen to what it said as Jesus said. He said this, I am the living bread that came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. This bread is my flesh, which I give for the life of the world. Isn't that tremendous? Listen to this. Every year at the University of Chicago Divinity School, they stage a picnic lunch where they invite some great theological mind lecturers, while the students and faculty of the university eat their lunches. One year, they invited Dr. Paul Tillicay, who spoke for 2.5 hours. And in his speech, he spoke for 2.5 hours. Can I say that again? He spoke for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And in his speech, he proved that the resurrection of Jesus was false. He quoted scholar after scholar and book after book. He concluded that since there was no such thing as the historical resurrection, and he maintained that the church teaching on a risen Jesus was so much groundless, emotional mumbo-jumbo, then he asked if there were any questions. Now my first question would have been, why are you even in Christianity if, in fact, you don't believe what Christianity stands for? But he asked for questions, which was a mistake. After about 30 seconds, an old dark-skinned preacher stood up in the back of the crowd. Dr. Tillicay, I got one question. He reached into his sack lunch and pulled out an apple and took a bite. My question is a simple question. He took another bite. Now I ain't never read them books you read. Another bite. And I can't recite the scriptures in the original Greek. Another bite. I don't know nothing about Niebuhr or Heidegger. He finished the apple and then said, all I want to know, Mr. Tillicay, was this apple I ate bitter or sweet? Dr. Tillicay paused for a moment and answered in a scholarly tone, I cannot possibly answer that question, for I haven't tasted your apple. The white-haired preacher dropped the core of his apple into his crumpled paper bag, looked up at Dr. Tillicay, and said calmly, neither, sir, have you tasted my Jesus.
Amen. All right. All right. All right. All right.
You see, there are all kinds of scholars out there that have rejected God's truths for the myths of modern theology, and heretical scholars. These are experts you'll often see on the Discovery Channel. As a matter of fact, I watched in National Geographic Channel. I was flipping through channels. I do that once in a while. I was flipping through channels, and there was a thing called Jesus. And since I was a preacher, I thought I better read about or watch about Jesus instead of like Family Feud or something like that. You know, lightning round wasn't coming up, so it didn't really matter. So I thought I better watch this. They did it strictly from a historical perspective on who Jesus was. There was all kinds of things that they talked about the virgin birth, and they tried to discredit the virgin birth. They tried to discredit this thing and that thing. They tried to discredit the whole thing. And as I watched that, I said, okay, that's just about enough for me. It's got me confused enough, so I went back to the lightning round and watched Family Feud instead. Many Christians hear these experts and they think to themselves, I can't read the Bible in original Greek or Hebrew. I haven't read all the great commentaries on Scripture, and I'm not a theologian. But then neither was Peter or James or John. You know what they had? They knew who he was. They spent time with him. 3.5 years they walked with him and talked with him and breathed with him and watched as he committed miracle after miracle. They did all of those things, and yet they understood who he was. And again, I want to say to you, get to know who Jesus is.
Amen.
They didn't appeal to scholarship when talking to people about Jesus. They simply told folks how Jesus tasted to them and what he was like. John writes in 1 John chapter 1, that which was from the beginning, which we have heard, we have seen with our eyes, which we have looked at, and our hands have touched. This we proclaim concerning the word of life. So first, we need to realize we're going to face rejection, folks. That's the way it is.
Right.
Amen.
You hearing me?
Yep.
You're going to face rejection. Secondly, You remember to keep it simple. And third, we need to stay on message.
Amen.
Stay on message. My father-in-law, I love him to death. He lived with us, and then now he's back up in Flint, and then maybe he'll come back down or whatever. I hope so. Get him down here, will you, Denise and John? Just get him down here. Anyway, for the last 20 years, he's been saying something to me that I don't think I completely understand or completely registers in my whole. What he says is, all the time, as I'm reading, he'll say one thing. He'll say, stay on the message. I don't know what that means. What do you mean? Stay on the message. That's what he says. The third thing we have to understand is we need to stay on the message.
Amen.
Sam I am never strayed from his objective. Try my green eggs and ham. Try him. Drove him absolutely bizarre. And finally, try him. He kept repeating his offer over and over again. He stayed on the message. Now, there are times when Christians get off the message. They try to sell to their friends on something other than Jesus. They'll get people interested in how good the preacher is, the beauty of their building, their marvelous youth programs, how moral their congregation is, or how upscale and important their members are. Stay on the message.
Amen.
We have one message to preach to this world, you guys.
Amen.
One and only one. And that is Jesus Christ and Himself crucified. And that He was resurrected from the dead. And that He's put His Spirit inside of us to live life as it's supposed to be lived. Stay on that message.
Amen.
There is no other message. Now, they get so caught up in attracting people to the impressive things about their church that they forget the simple message, taste Jesus. And really, when it comes down to it, I look out, I think you're a fairly educated group here today, being at least you're past 8th grade, and you're a fairly educated group here today. Most of us are. But I want to tell you, you can never give any greater message than Jesus Christ Himself. That you get to know Him. Again, I'll say it again, that this whole thing is about relationship. It's not about rules or how it's done. In fact, I believe that you could probably screw up Christianity pretty good. And you can mess it up pretty good. But you know what? I think that Jesus Christ looks at the intent of your heart, and He understands and knows exactly what you want, what you are doing, and why.
Amen.
You see, He always looks at the intent. If a church doesn't make their central focus, their preachers' sermons are meaningless, their buildings is just an empty shell, their youth program has no purpose, and their morality has no foundation. Taste Jesus and everything will be okay. Listen to this illustration. I once read a preacher in a large congregation in Florida who announced to his special men's meeting in his church proposing to give the men a chance to air their objections to Christianity. Over 1,200 men showed up. The first objector said, church members are no better than others. Others said things like, the ministers are no good. Others said, there are hypocrites in the church. The next thing they said was, the church is a rich man's club. Christians don't believe the Bible anymore. There were 27 objections to Christianity in all. When they were through, the preacher read off the whole list. Then he tossed it aside. And he said, friends, you have objected to preachers, to church members, to the Bible, to absolutely everything. But you have not said one word against my master. And in a few simple words, he preached Christ to them as the faultless one. Then he gave an invitation, and 49 men responded to accept Jesus Christ as their personal, simple Savior. They had tasted of preachers and teachers and churches, and I understand that. I remember when Kathy and I went away to Colorado Springs, we went from church to church to church, trying to find the perfect church. I mean, we looked everywhere. We looked absolutely everywhere. We were going to find that perfect church. After all, we had just come from the perfect church, which was Flint Central, and we thought that that was the perfect church, and everybody else ought to do it exactly like Flint Central did it. So, we went from church to church to church trying to find the perfect church. Guess what? We never found the perfect church. We never did. There was probably a few people that were a little crass or cranky or grouchy or whatever they were. There were probably a few people that weren't quite right with Jesus, and so we X'd them off our mark. We just said, you know what? I don't think we're going to find the perfect church, so we're just going to settle for what we've got. Well, guess what? The only perfect church that we can ever have is the church of Jesus Christ that he calls back, the invisible church that we do not see. Oh, we see this. We see this. And we're about as perfect as we can get. Until you call me to be your pastor. But nobody's going to be perfect. No church is going to be perfect. You'll always have a complaint with something. The music program, Jimmy hollers at us.
It's too cold.
What else? What else you do, Jimmy? You do a lot of things.
It's too cold.
Too loud. Too loud. Too loud. You know what? You know what? And we are not the perfect church. You know why? Because sometimes we turn our thermostat up too loud or up too high. In fact, Phyllis, where are you? No. Kelly Sprecher, stand up just like this. Look at this. Look at this. Now it must be 180 up here. But she looks just like my wife does at 95 degrees.
Every week.
What's the matter, Kelly?
Every week.
Every week. You just put up with it every week. Well, we're not the perfect church. We don't have perfect thermostats. They're wrong. We put them at the right temperature, but they're wrong, the thermostats. The perfect church. One seminar, I went to ask a simple question. If you didn't like the opera, what would convince you to go to one? How many of you here this morning do not like the opera? Huh? Kathy, what did we go to? What was it? Yeah, yes, it was. It was. What was it? No, not the classical music. The one we went with the Porters, the Bob and Bonnie Porter. Remember? Yeah. What was that? What was that? Yeah, what was it though? Come on, you gotta know this. You got musical.
Celtic women.
No, not Celtic women, the other one. The other one were the girls dressed up in nice little tutus and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, a ballet. What was that? Oh, it was the Nutcracker. I went to the Nutcracker. You're a sick man. You're a sick man. That girl has ruined you, I'm telling you. The Nutcracker. I went to the Nutcracker for crying out loud. Guess what? It was Mom and Daughter Day at the Nutcracker. Bob Porter is a little different, but he's big. He's a big guy, right? And so I swear to you that Bob Porter and I were the only men at this Nutcracker. We were the only ones. He said, no, we got extra good seats. I said, oh, good. I looked around, and here's these little girls. They're dressed up like the Nutcracker people. You know, they've got their tutus on, and they're prancing around, and I'm saying, I don't know about this. I don't know. And so we get in the car, and the very first question is the question that they always ask you, so how did you like it? You are kidding. How did I like it? First of all, I hope nobody has this on tape and knows that I have went to this nutcracker with all of these girly girls around here because I'm a girly man all of a sudden. I feel like a girly man. Second of all, that music don't jive with my spirit. What are some of them? It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It's a nutcracker. You ought to go. What kind? I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. What kind of argument would you have to use to get me to the nutcracker? Beside my wife, she knows what argument she can use. She knows. She knows. Well, what kind of argument would you have to use to get me to the nutcracker? Probably couldn't use many. Maybe cash. A little cash would do. I don't know what else. But I know this. If you came and you had, I know what would work.
Olivia.
Say, Olivia would do it, probably. Olivia would do it. I know she would. You take Brianna Chapman. If Brianna Chapman came up to me, come here, sweetie, just come here. And she's cute. I love her. If she came up to me and she batted her eyes like this. I'm in the nutcracker, will you come and watch me? Oh, see, that'd do it. That would do it. Thank you, Brianna. That would do it, right? I think that would do it. Maybe my daughters could convince me. Hannah, maybe, because she's still not married, but that's it. What would you do? How could you convince somebody? I want to tell you a story. I'm going to end with this. I swear to you I'm going to end with this. Back in 1800s, a skeptic promised a famous British preacher named McLaren, Alexander McLaren, that he would attend his church for 4 days. McLaren told the skeptic that during those sermons he'd present reasons why he should believe in Jesus Christ. The skeptic was true to his word and showed up each Sunday listening intently to his sermons. After the fourth message, he stepped forward to become a Christian. McLaren was delighted, but he couldn't resist the impulse to ask which of the 4 sermons brought this decision. The skeptic replied, "Your sermons, sir, were helpful, but they were not what finally persuaded me." He said that after church, one Sunday as he was preaching, an elderly lady on a slippery walk, she looked up into his face and she said this, "I wonder, sir, if you know my Savior, Jesus Christ. He is everything in the world to me. And I would like you to know him too." For that woman, there was only one theological question. Have you tasted my Jesus?
Set my heart